where we look at all of the local headlines from the dailies this morning in Nigeria. So this morning, I've been joined in the studio by Devoe Okorie. Good morning to you, Devoe.
Good morning, Lucas. Good morning, world. Lakunle. The coup in Niger.
Okay, moving away from that, let's move away now and make welcome Lakunle this morning. Good morning to you, Lakunle.
Good morning, Omas. Good morning, Devoe. Nice to be here.
So if you're ready, let's dig into the headlines this morning as I start with Devoe. And Devoe would like you to do a sprint with us on this one, coming from the Punch newspaper. And it says, Niger, the United Nations seeks ECOWAS exemption for relief supplies. What's this story all about? And I also like you to stitch it up with something coming from the axis of the Central African Republic, which is just on the scene to be added to the list of worry list for Africa. And that's talking about the coup, Gabon. Take it away, Devoe.
Well, as we say, a coup de coup, right? And it seems like it's becoming a fashionable trend. However, we're aware of this is almost 2-3 weeks activities in the Niger Republic, whereby the sitting president Bazoum was ousted by his own presidential brigade, who had taken power, detained him, as well as refused any form of negotiation or discussions with the opposing countries and organizations, e.g. at the top of the list, ECOWAS, that's the West African Association of Nations economic bloc. And we've seen back and forth in terms of them not only refusing every diplomatic treaty, but at the end of the day, even threatening threatening to sacrifice Bazoum if ECOWAS went ahead with its deadline military intervention. However, I think, and I refer to it as some better thinking has come in terms of ECOWAS approach, whereby they have reiterated that the military option, yes, was an option, but it was not on the table. So all the warmongering that had been washed in the media, they are not standing by. So I think that kind of lowered the temperature, and to that extent, the junta has come out with a 3-year transition plan, of which ECOWAS obviously has rejected. Now, whilst the military option was taken off the table as an immediate action plan, stiff sanctions have been leveled against Niger, meaning all the countries surrounding Niger, because it's a landlocked country, literally have locked their borders. One, especially Nigeria, that has about 7 states bordering Niger, that's at the northern Nigeria. Also, there have been financial sanctions as well, whereby financial transactions that should have taken place, as well as the multinational bodies in terms of nation states, France, the US, whereas Russia has been indicating some level of interest and support for the junta. Now, this article speaks to the fact that the UN, that's the United Nations, did say that an exemption request was sent to ECOWAS for relief supplies. Now, why this story is quite important, so you understand what goes on when countries get to this state of breakdown in law and order, and also warring scenarios. Niger was literally at the bottom of the list in terms of poor countries. So when you talk of apart from Nigeria, what is a living example of multidimensional poverty? Niger is one of the best examples. The Niger people, despite the fact that they have rich supplies of uranium that go mostly to France, and it never impacts on their social welfare. They're literally at the bottom. Amenities, all forms of social amenities from roads, water, light, education are literally bereft or gone, missing. To that extent, prior to this time, it wasn't about, and this is partly some of the reasons why we say ECOWAS or the AU, or all the bodies who are concerned about democracy should have been more concerned about the failure of democracy or leadership or governance, bad governance in these nation states. Hence, the reason why the United Nations, through the World Food Program, was supplying Niger with some kind of relief materials. Now, because the land borders are blocked, the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees was appealing to ECOWAS through this letter that they should exempt them, because if the borders are locked, many food supplies have been piling up at the border, right? Now, because they've been piling up at the border, they can't get food and aid into Niger. Now, UNICEF, who is part of this effort, had said that some 50 containers of immunization, cold chain equipment, therapeutic food stock at the entry points. He added that agency was concerned about the 28 million vaccine doses stocked up inside the country, with 95% of warehouse currently hit by power shortages. And you know those vaccines, if they're not under some form of frozen temperature, they're gone. Now,
in summary, Devoe.
Yes, he also voiced that about 700,000 people would be displaced. So this is literally a state of the nation in terms of an emergency situation for a country that before this time could not even help itself.
All right. Thank you very much, Devoe, for breaking it all down in such a very comprehensive way. Now, let's let the listener know they can be part of this conversation at any point as we go on Freshly Pressed this morning by reaching us up on with the messages onto the platform 0809-444-0981, 0809-444-0981. Lakunle, I come to you with this next story from the Vanguard newspaper, and it's a screamer here. Flooding, relocate to higher grounds, Edo government tells residents. Then the rhetorical question, which probably your response would probably help Nigerians to understand, would be, to where, sir?
Like I always say, winter is coming. And winter comes in various forms. This is one of the forms that winter hits us in Nigeria. Now, this has become a perennial problem. So every rainy season, every high volume rain, we hear government officials at various levels, local, state, federal, say, leave flood-prone areas, locate to higher grounds. Okay, so let's assume that there are higher grounds to go to. We go there for a period, then we come back to the lower grounds where we are going to be flooded after. Now, this is just Edo State. You know, this is a reaction to the dam in Cameroon that over the weekend informed Nigeria that they were releasing some volume of water due to the high volume of water the dam is holding. So we are downstream to this dam and it's going to flow through River Niger. So what causes the flooding in the first instance? The channel of the River Niger, of the River Benue, becomes too small to accommodate the volume of water that's coming. So it means the moment the water enters Nigeria from Taraba, it goes to, I think, Bauchi, then to Benue, then to Kogi, then Edo, Enugu, Imo, then into
Delta is there, Saba, in the axis too.
Into Delta, into Bayelsa, and somehow into rivers. So we are talking about 10 or 11 Nigerian states. That's about 1/3 of the Nigerian states that is threatened by this volume of water. What is the consequence of this apart from asking people to leave? Farmlands, source of livelihood, physical infrastructure that might have been constructed, roads, telecommunication masts, cash crops. Imagine all those things that are so. So is it just the human relocation that is important to governments in Nigeria that we speak about every year? Lagos is also not left out. You know, there's even a dam in Nigeria, somewhere in Oyo State, on your dam, when they do the same thing, it floods the whole of Ogun and into Lagos. That's where you hear the people say, Ikorodu, Owode Onirin, all those places say that people should leave that place and move on. So even when internally we're not even able to control the one that is our own. So how much more that? So for me, the thinking of government should be how can we solve this problem of perennial or annual flooding? One, can we dredge the River Benue to make it either wider or deeper? Can we permanently relocate people from these places? Don't also forget that we cannot remove the cultural behavior of people, the cultures of people that have grown to know that they live in those parts of the world. The Ijaw people, for example, how you take them out of the waters to go and put them on dry land. You have taken a big part of their culture away from them by doing that. So the easier thing then will then be, let's dredge this channel. Let's make it wider. Let's build another dam on it during the dry season so that when they release their own, we can use our own to control it a little bit here. As they release that, we can also control and so on and so forth. But this idea that move now, also this number of local governments that they've been asked to move in Edo is 6. Edo has 18 local governments. So 1/3 of people of Edo State have been asked to relocate.
In summary,
right? So imagine the same in other states. So we need to have a new thinking about these things, not just enough to say people should move.
Thank you very much, Lakunle, for breaking it all down for us. We've got 2 minutes before we head to the traffic lights. That's the red already, so we get there and but before we head on to that, we'd just like Devoe, if you could do this for us in 2 minutes, it will be excellent as the traffic light beckons right now. Let's get into this story. 5 billion naira FCT malls transport food palliatives for residents from the Punch newspaper.
Yes, the new Maverick FCT minister, that's former governor of River State, Yusuf, was speaking on Abuja's share of the 5 billion palliative distribution by the federal government to states to support the cushioning of the, as you know, the harsh environment on citizens by the 2 economic reforms of removal of subsidy and the harmonization of the FX management, which has driven prices across all indicators up. Now, he was saying that they haven't yet decided that, despite the template given by the federal government to buy rice and some condiments for citizens, he was saying that the FCT administration was looking at the best strategy to approach that. Sometimes people would say, buy them rice, they eat it today. What about the transport tomorrow? Being an urban city, people like to move around and get things done without the harsh impact of high pricing. What I would say here is that literally we need to hear the strategic position of all state governors on how they intend to utilize this. Before we even get to the distribution, which we've already seen in a few places has gone wrong, like Lagos State and the, I think it was Mushin local government, if I'm correct. Also in Bayelsa State, where it went completely rogue, whereby not even the current one, but the one that was bought for the flood victims was kept back. And at the end of the day, it was raided by citizens. You want this thing administered seamlessly. Remember, 5 billion is not going to do everything.
Okay, Devoe.
But at this initial stage, it needs to be done quickly and properly.
You see the red light, it means you have to stop for traffic. So let the pedestrians who want to go across make their way. So thank you so much, Devoe. You're listening to Freshly Pressed on Smooth 98.1. My name is Omatseye Atsenuwa. Still got Lakunle here and Devoe Okorie. We'll be back shortly.
Are you looking for a reliable way to pay your money?
Why do you pull it back each time? Why do you pull it back each time to make it 0?
So that we don't have leaky ports. Your ports can leak. Even so, this is the best guarantee.
So there's no button that clicks off.
You can go off, but from what my own experience has been,
it might not go off. So just
yes, it can fail you. So just make sure you kill it.
All right,
and that's why I do that.
Like school fees, personal development, vacations, paying your rent, buying a property,
kill it, die.
Yes, I was getting you know. Who asked you to open him? I heard, because I was about saying it's getting hot now.
Go from where you are to where you need to be. So start your wealth creation journey today by downloading the ARM1 app from the Google Play Store.
We're back shortly.
We have so many people.
You don't do 5 now. So 3 is out of the way. We're not.
Yeah.
You're not.
It's not even there.
Okay, no, it's okay. It's okay. No problem.
That's what we said.
information, visit arm.com.ng. Call 01-271-5002. That's 01-271-5002.
We're good to go. We're smooth 98.1 FM. You're welcome back. Still freshly pressed. I've got Devoe, Okorie here with me. Lakunle, they're still here breaking down the papers this morning. So let's get into it. Let's quickly get into the messages because we asked for it, and here it is for us. Chioma comes in with this message saying, "Good morning, all. They will just use a megaphone telling people to move to, well, to move where? To move without any initiative, preparation, nothing. I wonder how these people think. Every year we know these things are bound to happen. What's our preparedness as a nation towards it, aside from locking up all the palliatives mean to cushion the things?" That's what Chioma has to say, reacting to the flood story coming from Edo State, saying people should move to higher grounds. Then we've got Dan Okuda from Igondo saying, "Good morning, the crew. Poor leadership is largely responsible for the flurry of coups in West Africa, this time extension spilling into Central Africa. In order to stop it, the AU and ECOWAS should place high premium on good governance." That's from Barrister Dan Okuda from Igondo. Do I have Tunde here with me? Yeah, Tunde's here, but no location. It says here, another coup just happened in Gabon. The likely positive from this coup is that it might make democratic leaders being more accountable and delivering true dividends to their citizens. But I'm still pessimistic about that positive because Africans are hardly different from one another, hardly learn lessons. E.g. the Gambian guy, and that's from Tunde. Well, so we get back into the conversation. I see messages still coming in, but keep them coming on to 0809-444-0981. It's still freshly pressed. And Lakunle, I head back to you because the nation is staring at you now, and it's screaming with the headline, "The NBA," that's the Nigerian Bar Association, seeks increased wages for Chief Justice of Nigeria, Chief Judges, Magistrate Judges, and others. That's according to the nation. So break it down for us and leave the details.
Yeah, so my first thoughts on this, maybe not having a direct impact on this story itself, is that, in my opinion, the NBA needs to decide whether it's a professional body, a labor union, or a political party. Right. Why did I say that? Here is a conversation that is going on. If you check our Senate, our House of Assembly, the various houses of assembly, the number of ministers we have, you will see the predominance of lawyers in all these things that I have said. To make the law for remuneration for public officials, in public servants, civil servants, including judges, is a constitutional matter. So if their members are in those places where laws in this country are made, why are they outside making this noise? Why can't they form a lobby group, a pressure group, or a committee in there to lobby their membership who are in these places to make this happen? Then quickly, just to close, I will just read verbatim, maybe the last I'll quote what was credited to this member who was making this assertion. He said that the Chief Justice of Nigeria currently earns more than the Vice President and the Senate President, while the Justices of the Supreme Court earn higher than the senators, while in the states, the Chief Judges earn higher than the state legislators. Excuse me, if they earn more than those people, are they really poorly paid? From what we hear that our senators and co earn. So what is poorly paid if this statement that has been quoted as coming from a former commissioner of justice in Ekiti State, who was the speaker, who was speaking on this matter, Olawale Fakunda. If this is true, are the judges poorly paid? That's the question that I think that all of us should ruminate on. We should look at it that way. So we want to know exactly. Today, nobody can say verbatim what the senators, House of Rep earn or House of Assembly members earn. But we hear that it is in some huge amounts of money, including the allowances and all that and all that. So if that is true, then, and these justices earn more than what those senators and co earn, then are they poorly paid? So my point, let them get the real work done, form lobby groups. They are part of who make the laws. Let them make the laws to make this happen, not to be coming to the outside and be making this kind of statements.
Thank you, Lakunle. Now let's get into the Punch newspaper once again, and I head to Devoe now. Devoe, you'd help us break this one down, and let's see if you can serve this one for breakfast as quickly as possible. This one is coming in from the Punch saying, Lagos government to partners monarchs for improved health care. What role do we really want these traditional rulers to play in our national life? It just seems we wake up one morning, it will seem like whatever are the whims, this is what we like them to do. Please take it on from here. Well,
at the end of this story, find out who is serving breakfast, whether the government is serving the people breakfast or we need to serve the same government its own breakfast. Now, the headline is also a bit misleading because at the end of the day, what was said here was Permanent Secretary of the Lagos State Health District 2, Dr. Moshirat Adeleke, was soliciting the support of traditional rulers within the district covering Etiosa and Bejuleki and environs on extending quality healthcare to residents and those, especially those living in hinterlands and riverine areas. As you know, Bejuleki is surrounded by water. Now, in her visit to the Elegushi of Ikate Kingdom during the celebration of the Jiwa Elegba Festival, she commended the monarch on his discussions in improving the Ikate Kingdom's health sector, because she thanked the traditional ruler for taking up the upgrade of the Oniru Primary Healthcare Center. She also thanked the Ojomu of Ijeran land for initiating a visionary collaboration that formed some sponsorship by Total Energies and Chevron, which led to the emergence of the Ajinro Primary Healthcare Center. Okay, now she also thanked the traditional rulers of the Ibeju and Ekpe Kingdom for supporting special healthcare centers in their own locations. Now, like I said, who is serving who breakfast? The truth is, primary healthcare is squarely the responsibility of the local government authorities. Because the local government administration is jaundiced within the state governments, this is not rumor, this is not hearsay, this is fact. They don't work, they don't perform. Actually, the way the federal system has been put together, the local governments were structured so that at the end of the day, governance gets to the people, right? Now, as part and parcel of the local government structure, healthcare, primary healthcare, which is these clinics that people can run to, which is they actually should be one in every local government. Yes, they exist, but most of them are run down, dilapidated, either selling expired or no drugs. Hardly do they have sufficient medical support in terms of doctors and nurses. So most of the times people don't even care to go there. Most of the times, the only time you see them have a glimmer of light is towards elections, when maybe any candidate intends to use them to gain some kind of popularity. So I task the Nigerian citizens, especially those within these environs, in the Akbe and Ibejuleki, to please hold the government officials at the local and the state responsible for some of the dividends of democracy. Healthcare is supposed to be something you should get. It shouldn't be a struggle. Now, bringing it back to this story, do you need traditional rulers before you get these things done? Come on.
Summary. Okay.
This is the squarely the responsibility of government, and we will not accept any abdication of their responsibilities, which they fought by hook or crook to get into government for.
Devoe, thank you so much. Let's get in this one. Our final paper, I would ask Lakunle to close us up on the show this morning with our final paper, Daily Post newspaper, and then we'll go over to the messages coming in quickly. So if we can get the messages on to 0809-444-0981, we'll take them as we close the show this morning. The Daily Post screams, Jigawa Assembly passes 44.7 billion naira supplementary budget. Well, what happened to the last one, you might be asking. So, Lakunle, this paper is all yours. Repeat a part and leave the details looking at us.
Okay, so quickly, the first question to ask is, how much does Jigawa State earn from the federal allocation, from the FAC account in a year? Okay, so it gives us an idea of where they are going to fund this supplementary budget. You know, there's a budget that would have been passed at the beginning of the year. So when you know how much that is, they get about 438 billion a year, or about 722 billion in a year. That's what they got for 2022, right? So if they've spent this, it will be interesting to see where the rest of this money is going to go. This one that they are passing this supplementary budget, do they have some form of internet generated revenue they are going to spend? Are they borrowing money? It's not just enough because they say that they want to do things, or could this be because, okay, the original budget for this year was passed by a government that is no longer in place and a new government has come, and this new government see a need to spend money, so they just appropriate this and then they go find the money where. So it will be interesting to know, okay, so what projects specifically? Because the majority leader of the House just says they are going to use this budget to fast track the completion of viable projects. What are these projects? What were the states? What are the states of the project? What are the stages of completion of this project? What are the economic benefits of this project to the states? People of Jigawa should ask these questions.
Okay, so thank you very much.
Government accountable as much as we hold the president responsible, because they are closer to us than the federal government.
Thank you, Lakunle. So that leaves me with enough time to go to the messages. Ayo, I see your message, and thank you very much for that message you sent in. Thank you so much, and keep listening. I've got someone who sent in, Jackson Ubine from Lagos, and he says, look, he can relate to the flood story because he's from Ideze in Isoko South local government area of Delta State, where a lot of agricultural produce, gari, and the best you can find from those axes of the state. And says 2/3 of his community was flooded last year, water measuring up to his chest level, crops and property destroyed. We have to buy food from outside. They just started planting and the crops are yet to mature, and another flood again. You can feel that from Jackson Ubine. And our final story, this final message from the WhatsApp platform says, Project Nigeria is not for the government alone. Everybody must support the nation in their own little way, and that is how the country will move forward. It is a weighty allegation coming from Devoe. The public hospitals have, and it goes on, say, I would mean Devoe, this is not facts now. People still use these things. So to say expired drugs. So that's Abbas Oladipo, making sure you don't go with that, run away with that, which they give to the people. It needs to contact the authority with this. But then that's the wrap.
On confirm their true state. They're not functioning properly.
Okay.
I mean, everybody knows how run down these institutions are.
Well, you can say all of them. That's the truth.
No, all of them. I didn't say they're not functioning. I said they're badly run down.
Okay. So, Devoe, thank you so much once again for your opinions and, how you get these things across. Thank you very much once again for being here today. And I want to say thank you to Lakunle, who also joined us virtually this morning. Thank you. And we wish you all the very best of the day. My name is Omatseye Atsenuwa, saying thank you to all those who sent in messages. Ayo, Abbas, Chioma, Jackson, Dan Okuda, and everyone. Stay tuned. You're on to Smooth 98.1 FM. Good morning.
Morning. Bye.